Networks don't talk about it. Government can't tax it. But sports betting is a $200 billion a year business.
That's a major U.S. Supreme Court ruling that could open the door for legalized sports betting all across the country.
The Supreme Court is giving the green light for states to determine on their own whether they want to legalize sports gambling.
Tell Donahue his next pick is good for 20 grand, but I need him to guarantee a win, okay? I need a lock.
He's not that fucking good.
No, Tommy, he has to. All right, he has to, or else they're going to kill me. Do you realize this, Tommy? They're going to fucking kill me. I can't afford to gamble anymore. I need a fucking lock.
Can't afford to gamble. He needs a fucking lock, and this is the place to get him. Welcome to Lock Talk, March 8th, Saturday morning. How we doing? Coming off of a 5-1 Friday evening on the heels of a 7-1 Thursday. The block is hot, guys. The block is hot. We are now 25-11, up 9.52 units since Monday's stream. Yeah. Things have been going really, really well this week. So, you look at last evening, it was the Illinois game didn't look great to start, kind of swung back in our favor. We did get a little bit of I don't want to say it's a miracle boost, but we've been getting very, very lucky. Hopefully that's not going to turn the other way around. Hofstra dominated, High Point dominated. Our games during the day were just absolute cakewalks. And like we talked about it, those were both games in the previous matchup where there was one component that was off. Either they were shooting like shit, they turned the ball over too much. You make one of those things, you alleviate that mistake, and boom, we got a blowout. Turned the 10-point, 11-point, 12-point game, 20+, and we cover with ease. So, yeah, great day yesterday, 5-1, can't complain. I've got another 6 plays. We're going to do 2 streams today. Just want to make sure I got everything posted. Yep, good. So we've got 6 bets that we're going to talk about on this stream. This stream is basically going to run up to the 3 o'clock hour, the 4 o'clock hour. I didn't actually bet any games in the 3 o'clock slot. Just didn't find anything that I liked too much. And then I'm going to get back here at 3:30 after I'm done working today. And then I'm going to hop back on. We'll talk about tonight's action because it's our last Saturday with 100 games. We are going to bet the shit out of it. So before we hop into those bets, let's talk about Lock Talk, the reason that we're here. Shout out the app. If you haven't yet, make sure you download, rate, and subscribe. Not subscribe. That's not the right verbiage. Download and leave a review. It is on the the App Store, the Google Play Store. Joey, my partner, who is not here today, he is one of the co-developers of that app. So definitely make sure to give that a look this March. Let's hop right into the plays, guys. We've got 2 that are going to tip off right away at 11. They are bigger matchups. First one, St. John's against Marquette. And I'm going St. John's. Now, everybody's going to think, it's a big old fate of the Golden Eagles by a Badger fan. But honestly, St. John's, they're 7-2 on the road this season. They've won 9 of their last 10. Marquette, they're just backing their ass into this Big East tournament. 5-5 down the stretch. They lost their top 10 ranking, still ranked, and they're going to end ranked, I think, even if they lost this game. The only thing they don't want to lose, the only thing they didn't lose, rather, is a bye week in next week's tournament. So really, this game not super consequential for Marquette. I wouldn't expect them to be playing this game desperate. St. John's is just a locked-in group. I mean, Patino, say what you want about him, but he's the last of the hard. I mean, if you watch these guys, and then shout out Army football for that quote, but he talks to his players like an old school coach would. His guys respond. Now the Jimmy Fallon thing, I'm not a huge fan of them going on and doing that this week, but I think that's just part of the road show when you're playing in Brooklyn. But yeah, I really like St. John's. Like I said, they're super locked in. I expect them to sprint through the finish. I think Patino's got them firing on all cylinders. I'm going to go 0.35 units to win about a half. It's plus 140. I think that line went from 2.5 to 3.5 last night. So we'll see how that kind of progresses. Next one I want to touch on, Kentucky team total over 82.5 against Mizzou. It's a game that should be explosive. Tigers 3rd in offensive net rating. Kentucky is 6th. Defense for Mizzou, they're top 75 in net. They allow just 72.5 points per game. However, and you're thinking, well, what are we doing this team total over for? Just wait. In the last 5, They have allowed 90.8 points per game, with 4 of those teams clearing the 90-point total. For whatever reason, they have broken down defensively over their last 2-3 weeks. We've also seen them lose 3 of their last 4, rather. Missouri was a team that was on everybody's radar earlier this season, and they're kind of doing a Marquette. They're fizzling out. They ranked, you look at Kentucky, they averaged almost 86 points per game. This is a team that does not worry about scoring the basketball. They're 4th in the nation in scoring, but they're also 28th in pace, 13th in assist to turnover ratio, and 20% in field goal percentage. They shoot over 37% from distance. Yeah, this is an absolute dead not over team if you're talking team totals. Kentucky could definitely still hit this and lose, so I would tread lightly if we're talking betting Kentucky. But yeah, I'm going to go 0.6 units because I paid a little extra juice playing the team total versus the spread. Moving down, we're going to get into some of these smaller matchups. Fordham at Rhode Island. I'm playing over 158.5. It's a little bit higher of a total than I normally play, but I really do like the spot. A couple of teams that rank inside the top 60 in pace, outside the top 175 in defensive net rating. In their first matchup, Fordham came out the aggressor. They stifled Rhode Island out of the gates. They held them to 7 points in the first 7 minutes. That's not going to happen. For the next 33 minutes of the game, this game was played to a 180-point pace, which I think is kind of what we're going to see more today. There were 83 points in the second half of that one. Fordham, they ranked 316th in scoring defense. They allow over 78 points per game. That number inflates over 80 when they're on the road. Both sides, they're 18-10 to the over, 7-3 in their last 10. I got a half unit. I like that one. Fordham and Rhode Island. Let's talk Louisville. Before we get into the game, I do have to make a comment. I've talked a lot and chirped a lot about the Badger transfers from last year's team and how the grass might not always be greener. But for a guy like Chucky Hepburn, I got to agree the grass was greener for him at Louisville. The guy has been absolutely outstanding. Had a 40-point performance the other night. It's been really, really impressive to see how well he actually worked out. I'm happy for Chucky. Chucky is, people have been making some comments about maybe he drank a little too much in Madison, but that's Madison for you, man. Some guys can't handle it. All right, so let's talk about the game. Louisville is laying 11.5 against Stanford. They are getting the Cardinal at home. It has been really tough for Stanford traveling east this year on the road. They are 3-7 straight up and against the spread with just a 10.7 point margin of defeat. Not great. They had themselves a nice 3-game winning streak going in February, but that was all at home. And then immediately go to South Bend and get held 52 points and lose to Notre Dame as favorites. Their points per game, opponent points per game, they regress significantly. They shoot worse. They defend worse. They stink at the free throw line on the road. Louisville's coming off of a couple of home wins, a couple of double-digit favorite covers. With a win and a Duke loss, they can still technically earn a share of the ACC. So the motivation is all there for Louisville in this one. Some other positives when it comes to rest. They're covering just under 65% of their games following multiple days rest with, again, 10.5 point winning margin on that one. I'm going to take the Cardinals over the Cardinal, laying 11.5 in that one. 3 games to go here before we move on to the afternoon. Central Connecticut, first half laying 5.5 against Farley Dickinson. Central, they come into this matchup. They are one of the best teams in first half ATS standing. They're 23-7 on the season. 6.5 average differential actually isn't that great, but they're covering the lines that are given to them. So, I mean, you can only cover the lines. So they've now covered in 9 of 10, including their last 4. FDU, they're around 500 in first half against the spread standing. They've failed to cover in more than 60% of their road games. This one is strictly numbers. I'd be completely lying to you if I said I've been keeping up on Central Connecticut and Farley Dickinson all season. And I actually looked back. Usually by March, teams don't slip through the crack. We haven't bet either of these teams at all this season. So very surprising that they made it this far, but we're rolling with Central Connecticut in the first half. Delaware at Campbell, we're going over 147.5. If we're talking about a regular season's home game right now, yeah, I'm not touching Campbell totals, especially going over. Now, the fact that it's conference tournament in DC, Yeah, I'm all over it. First matchup went completely off the rails. 96-91 finish. Highest scoring for either side this season. We saw 85 points come either at the 3-point line or the free throw line, which we do love that, actually, when looking at overs. For those of you that didn't know, Delaware, they played the 22nd quickest pace in the country. They absolutely dictated how things went in game one. They came out, punched Campbell in the mouth, 46 points in that first half. Then Campbell came back, scored 58 in the second half. So the recipe has to be similar if you're the Blue Hose the second time around. I like Delaware keeping the pace high, but Campbell's a better team, in my opinion. So I like over 147.5 for Delaware and Campbell. Jacksonville State is laying 3 against Kennesaw. This is my revenge spot for Jack State. They had an 83-71 loss on the road against Kennesaw earlier this season. A game that they were outshot, they were out-rebounded, they were out-hustled. You look at the box score, it is all highlighted on one side, completely blank on the other. It doesn't really work out well for them. So I like Jacksonville State here to get their revenge. The Gamecocks, they shoot 37% from 3. Those guys can fucking burn it. 76% from the line. I wouldn't read terribly deep into the struggles in the first game. I think that was just more circumstance. They are 12-1 in their own building, covering 67 games in general. They've covered 4 of their last 5, as well as 3 straight. So I do like the Gamecocks to come out and cover the short line in that one. And again, we normally don't play that short line, but covering 3 when you're shooting over 75% from the line, feel a lot more comfortable about it. So let's run through it and get out of here so I can get rolling on my Saturday. Jacksonville State laying 3 against Kennesaw. That is a half unit play. Delaware at Campbell. We're going over 147.5 on the total on that one for a half. Central Connecticut first half laying 5.5 against Farley Dickinson. We've got Louisville laying 11.5 against Stanford. That's probably maybe my favorite one of the day. Fordham at Rhode Island over 158.5 in that matchup. And then we got 2 11 o'clock tips. Kentucky team total over 82.5 points against Mizzou. Again, it's going to be a little juicy because of the team total. And then you've got St. John's money line on the flip side, getting plus 140 at Marquette. That's going to be it. Funny, we do these things on a weekly basis during the week, and nobody's on here. Nobody's working on a Saturday. We got all these people watching. Love it. All right. Like I said, it's been fantastic. 25-11 plus 9.52 units this week. Definitely remember to tail as we go, and I will talk to you guys about 3:30 is when I think I'm going to hop on stream, and we'll go through this evening's action. We'll talk to you later. Stay sharp. Good luck.